Joining me now is Jerome Hudson. He's the Breitbart News entertainment editor. Obviously, he's been with us before. And remember something as I bring Jerome in here. Do not ever make this mistake where you look at the actress or the athlete or the musician and say to yourself, no one cares what they think. Yes, they do. A lot of people do. Entertainment is a critical cultural pillar, and ours sucks right now. First of all, Jerome, before we get into all that, Hasbro. Everybody remembers Mr. Potato Head is now kind of Mrs., kind of not. I don't know that he has the equipment for anything, but Hasbro got themselves in a bit of trouble with Project Veritas. Here's a little video on it.
By 3 to 6 months, babies are beginning to notice and already express preference by race. There was research that looked at how by 6 months, infants living in a homogeneous or same race neighborhood showed preferences for faces from their own racial groups, whereas infants living in more racially diverse environments did not show that same preference for their own racial group. Children as young as 2 are already using race to reason about people's behaviors, and we may see this play out in daycare or on the playground in how kids are starting to choose or exclude playmates and friends.
Jerome, those people make children's toys.
Yeah, and it's important to point out that Hasbro has spin off some of its most widely known and successful and highly sought after and purchased brands and toys like G.I. Joe, Power Rangers into Hollywood blockbuster films. This is a grift, Jesse. It is probably a multi-million-dollar industry by which you have giant corporations like Hasbro bringing in grifters like those two individuals who I would be surprised if they actually have children themselves. This is going to actually lead to a lot of people stepping and walking away forever from a lot of the brands that push this stuff. I mean, I don't have children. I mean, my kids actually have fur, a cat and a dog. But I do have nephews. I do have friends who have small children. And I've actually never seen exhibited the type of language that these people are talking about. This stuff is evil, and it's going to lead not only to the destruction of these woke corporations, but quite literally to the destruction of government-run public education. Because as you know, critical race theory, the idea that white children as early as 2 and 3 have racism just innately in them is going to lead to parents pulling their kids out of these ridiculous school systems, pushing this stuff. And I think it's actually good. I applaud this whistleblower, David Johnson. He's doing a service to this country.
Jerome, psychologize this for me, because you mentioned there's a lot of money in it, because there clearly is. Someone's making money off it, but it's also costing people money too. There's no question about it. We see Hollywood's ratings, they're in the toilet. We see the ratings for sports, they're in the toilet. Virtually everybody who's embracing this is seeing less viewers, fewer eyeballs. So it should be less money, but it's more money for someone. Why? What's going on? What am I missing?
It has to be that at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is ideology. I mean, we just saw a recent study come out about how the cable news and network news ratings are in the tank 6 months after Donald Trump left office. The New York Times, the Washington Post, all of the corporate media's subscription numbers, their viewership and clicks on their web pages, it's all in the tank. And it's done nothing to actually lead to a course correction in their coverage, which means that they don't actually care about the bottom line as long as they have billionaires bankrolling and leaving them large endowments and investments after they die. These corporations don't actually care about anything other than influence and power. Meanwhile, the people like us, you and me, who live in the real world, like, we have to actually deal with the real world consequences of this stuff. But again, people are pushing back.
Well, there's another aspect to entertainment. I've always thought sports is actually an important part of culture. I do. I wish what LeBron James says didn't matter. What LeBron James says matters. It does.
Yeah.
LeBron James has a massive amount of influence. It matters. And look, I don't think Sports Illustrated's swimsuit issue is exactly something that is one of the cultural pillars, but I am old enough to remember the days of Kathy Ireland and Tyra Banks, and apparently now we have somebody who was born a man. It's like they have to force feed this garbage to you all the time now, and I don't get it.
Yeah, Tyra Banks actually applauding this person. Look, I don't know what it actually does to Sports Illustrated is subscriber growth. I have to imagine that it doesn't really help. If you drill down just a little bit of the people actually buying Sports Illustrated, a lot of them looked like me and you and were proud of the fact that they were men, Jesse. But again, Sports Illustrated will inherit some endowment, and they'll be able to say that they were woke and inclusive. And no one is actually talking about the women who are biologically women and are proud to be women, whose jobs, or in this case, whose cover photo opportunities are being taken by people who were born men but can claim to be women. I don't know. The culture war ended a long time ago, and what you have now is much of the American left just shooting the non-binary Mr. Potato Head pieces that are remnants on the battlefield. But the counterculture war is raging hot. And in many ways, as I said, we are winning. Look at Hollywood. Look at the ratings. No one is watching their award shows. They have to actually get people to subscribe to monthly services to survive, because nobody wants to go and sit into a movie theater and watch their movies anymore.
Okay, so look, maybe this is wishful thinking. I know, because I do believe these people are all communists. I don't believe there is a bottom for them. But I like the movies, Jerome. I'm sure you do too. I'm sure that's how you became entertainment editor at Breitbart. That's a big deal.
Yeah.
I love the movies. Yeah, that's what I grew up doing. I want them to come back, man. I want to go sit in the movies and watch good guys and bad guys and good versus evil. And I want that again. Is there a bottom? Is there a bottom where they hit it and then it comes back?
For many of them, I don't think so. I mean, the bottom line is that so many of the Hollywood elites that we're talking about, Jesse, are loud and woke about so-called oppression in the United States, but they are literally in bed making money with Nazis in China. That's what it all comes down to. Again, I'll sound like a broken record on this. If I've said it once, I've said it 1,000 times. In many cases, you just have to walk away and stop giving these people your money. As long as they are the hypocrites that they are. I'm talking about Warner Media, NBC, Universal, all of these studios. The studios that are thriving, Jesse, are the mom and pop shops that are actually putting out a lot of the content that people want to see. The good versus evil, the family-oriented and faith-oriented content. They're out there, and they're really making a lot of positive waves in the entertainment space. But as long as we're talking about these large influential corporations, no, I don't see them correcting course, because they don't have to. I mean, there's just way too money to be made in countries like China, is run by murderous dictators.
Hey, thanks so much for watching The First on YouTube. If you liked what you saw, go ahead and like and subscribe. You heard me. Like it, subscribe. You'll get a lot more of it and a lot more of me. Thanks.